Hello, and welcome to Here's the Thing with Robbie and Jose, where we explore relationships through a male and female perspective. With me, as always, is the lovely Robbie.
Hello, Jose.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you.
Good. You got your baby voice on
Like, okay.
and that's a good segue into this topic that we're about to have here.
Oh,
on this
really?
one.
What is it?
It's baby voices.
Babies in relationships.
Yeah, there you go. They mess up everything. I'm just kidding. No, but so flirting is the topic of discussion today. So here's the thing about flirting. I think I've gotten better at it as I've gotten older. And I think I'm also better at picking up the hints when somebody's flirting with me.
You know, I thought about that because I've heard a lot of guys, I don't know what it is, but you guys don't know when a woman's flirting with you. You guys are totally oblivious.
Well, yes and no. So I read an interesting thing. So I did a little bit of research whenever I started going through this, right? And one of the things that did come up, and this was a weird, odd, but it's opposite of what you just said, is that guys sometimes will misinterpret and they think a girl's into them a lot more than what they really are.
I think both of those are true.
So we don't know when they're flirting, and we don't know when you're flirting, and even when you're not flirting, we think you're into us.
So what you're saying is guys are always wrong. There's only two sides to that coin, and they're both wrong.
Either they don't know when the girl's flirting, or the girl's not flirting and the guy thinks that she is.
Yeah, he'd be like, "Are you using this chair?" And then he's like, "She likes me."
She talked to me. That she wants.
She said, "Good morning," man. She was all over me, man.
But that's an interesting thing. Like So I think I've been able to figure it out now, and I know that I know you and we've been out where you had told me that a girl was flirting with me and I didn't see it at the time. And I was like, no, you're wrong.
Again, my first point that I made is that guys are oblivious. This person was all over you, by the way.
And I will say this, in all fairness, I'm not used to it. I think
that's what all guys say, though. Because guys typically, so
there's some guys that are used to being flirted
well, maybe,
with
but
all
like
the
a
time.
typical in an ask out situation, it's usually the guy has to go ask the female out on a date, not the reverse. So when guys do get hit on, or either they realizing like maybe they get hit on one time. I had this one guy friend, he was married and he was okay looking, but I guess women didn't come up to him. He got flirted with at the gym and it's all he could talk about. He was so excited that another woman, he couldn't believe it. He came into work next day. He was like, telling me, like, he wouldn't shut up about it. He was so excited. I'm like, oh,
nothing wrong with that, man. That dude scored. It's awesome.
Two girls like me.
And he was at the gym too. So that's even better because there's some gym rats in there like, I don't wear muscle
But I think
shirts.
some guys, I don't know, it just seems like they're oblivious. They don't catch up or pick up on like, and maybe it's the way the girl's flirty. Maybe it's too subtle. I don't know. But a lot of guy friends.
I think here's what and maybe I'm off on this, right? But let's just say for the sake of argument that I think it depends on the setting sometimes too. Because in the setting that you and I were in, I wasn't looking for anybody to flirt with me. So I wasn't looking for it. Does that make sense? But if, let's say, I was going out to a bar and I was trying to pick up a gal, then I would be looking for signs of whether or not she's into me.
Okay, so you have like an on-off switch.
It's not so much an on and off, right? It's just I'm not expecting that, right? So if you go to the zoo and you see Will Ferrell there, you're not expecting that. Like, oh wow, that's Will Ferrell. Like, don't get me wrong, it's always going to be a wow. But if you go to, let's say, Comic-Con and you see him there, it'd be like, oh well, yeah, that's awesome. But you're kind of expecting to see a celebrity, so you're almost looking for it. But like, let's say if you're at work, you're not expecting anybody to hit on you. You're not expecting anybody to flirt with you. So if it happens, you might be more oblivious to it because my mind isn't on that.
I'll give you a little bit of a pass for that. I'd say I understand.
But it's funny though, because I think like I used to read articles and stuff, back in the day about like picking up gals and stuff. And sometimes it was best to do it when they least expected it. So, for instance, like in a grocery store or out in a park or stuff like that, because obviously, if you're at a bar,
They're
that
probably
kind of
getting hit on a lot.
right.
They're already
So
annoyed.
yeah, if you're a gal and you go to a bar, whether you're with friends or by yourself, you have to expect that somebody's going to hit on you.
Yeah.
To say that, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're hitting on me. Like, what did you think was going to happen?
Yeah, it's a
I mean, let's say go to an all-female bar.
yeah, it's an unspoken agreement. If you go to the bar and you're not with your significant other and you're a female,
I mean, it's just like saying, I went to a concert and it was crowded. Like, what did you expect? I'm sorry. What did you expect?
all the concerts that I go, there's like 2 people there.
Exactly.
Plenty
Like,
of room.
I just wanted to go to a concert and just be me and the artist singing. but the point being is that guys aren't looking for it.
Okay.
So, like, let's say in that situation, I wasn't looking for it because
But it was really obvious. But anyways.
I did not see that. But so in some of the things that I saw, right, because they put people flirting for 6 different reasons. So
Okay.
they outlined the 6 different reasons why somebody would flirt with you.
Let's hear it.
So the first one is, and I got this off the internet, by the way, but the first one is that they want sex. So they're trying to get you in bed. That's a pretty obvious one. And I would have
That
thought
was like
that
95%.
I would have thought, like, is there another reason? Why else would you?
Yeah, that's
They had 6.
they must have bluffed on the other 5.
Oh, I'm
Like,
just
let's just
saying,
write something down.
Like, okay, so I was like, all right, so they it's supposed to be a scientific study, blah blah blah. Like, it's a reputable website and everything. So I was like, all right. So the next one is they do it for fun, treating it like a sport. That one kind of made sense to me because I've done that where, like, let's say, whenever I was single, right? When I would go out there and let's say I was trying to be charming. So it might be for women that I have no interest in. Like, I don't want to get them into bed, but I still want to flirt with them a little bit and just kind of have a little
it's
bit.
fun?
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
fun, right? So it's maybe they're older, like way older than the 60s and 70s. Like, hey, cutie, or something like that.
Oh, that's
like
creepy. Don't say. Don't do that to a poor old lady.
No, but you know what I mean? Depending on the relationship that you have, if she's like really friendly or whatever, or
okay.
let's say she bakes you cookies and you're like, oh my gosh, I might have to marry you. I didn't know you could bake this good. You know what I mean?
I'm
like,
thinking
not
about
in a
like
creepy
in a
way.
grocery store. And
No. Like let's say it's just you want to get some banter, but even then, like let's say like you just don't know, you just want to be fun.
Okay.
And so some of that I think is part of being charming and this, that. I don't know if women do that. Obviously don't, because women are saints and they would never flirt just to be fun.
Oh, I do. I'll tell it all right here. I love flirting just for fun.
Just for fun?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's just fun. It's just
So like let's say like if you had a boyfriend and it was his dad and you'd be like, oh, I guess I see where he gets all his looks or something like that.
I've never said that. I don't think I would ever say that. I'm just saying, like, obviously, if I'm with someone, I'm not going to be as flirty, not intentionally. But if I'm single and let's say, like there's someone that's like kind of attracted, but I don't want to be with them or anything like that, it's just fun. You're just laughing and joking and maybe be a little cutesy. I think it's fun.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Not if if I know that it's like, I know I don't want to be with that person, I can do that and it be just that, just flirting and nothing else.
Well, I know that part, but what about the poor guy that doesn't know and he's over here thinking, oh, is this into me?
Oh. Well,
you didn't think about that, did you, Miss Fun? Huh?
What about like if it's a back and forth thing, like we both do it for fun and it's very clear, but we're not trying to pursue each other? I don't know. Don't make me feel bad.
You should feel bad. That's what I'm saying. Like, it depends on who you do it to and when you do it. Because if I'm going to have fun with it, it's going to be something that's going to be completely off the, like, it could never happen kind of thing. You know what I mean? And even then, if I was going to flirt, it'd be a different kind of flirt. It wouldn't be a sexual flirt, if that makes any sense.
Well, no, I don't mean when I say I like to flirt, I'm not talking about talking dirty or I'm talking about a very innocent.
Just the hair tossing and the batting of the eyes and the little giggles.
Yeah.
Oh, you girls, y'all know what y'all do. But anyways, okay, so for fun. And then the third one, exploring. It says, trying to see what would it be like to be in a relationship. So basically flirting so it can turn into something else, I guess. So getting him into bed if that's the first one, right? But the second one is flirting with basically with purpose.
Yeah, like I want to be in a full-blown relationship with this person.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So like, let's say you're flirting and you might be like, oh, if we're married, we'd be off in Paris, and they're like, oh, I don't want to like Paris. I guess you know what I mean. Like maybe that's what they're trying to explore. Maybe they're like, oh, I don't like going to France. They're all a bunch of jerks. I was like, oh, okay. So maybe that's not the, you know what I mean? So I don't know. It's exploring, see if a relationship could be on there, which is, I don't know.
That's
Now
probably how a lot of relationships start, with people that you're kind of around. Like not the dating apps, not like that, but like, let's say you do like someone in the office, you start flirting with them and you're wanting it to lead into that. Wouldn't that be like the majority of how relationships start?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're exploring a relationship, yeah, that's, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's for fun because people like to torture people.
Oh my God.
I'm kidding. I give you a hard time. And other times it's just to get people in bed. So I guess it depends, right?
Yeah. Are you the number one? You're the number one. I'm number two. You're going to chastise me for being the number two?
Yes, because the bed is more genuine, but fun. It's like, oh, because when they say they do it for fun, you know what it reminds me of, and this is kind of a little crass, but it's like when they have racehorses and they're trying to breed them, and they get the guy all wound up because it gets the female horse all excited, but then they bring in the real stud. So the guy that was in there that got her all worked up, they take him away. He doesn't get any of it. So
she got bamboozled.
He did, yes. It's not good. But anyways, so exploring relationships. So then the fourth one is relational. So trying to increase the intimacy of a relationship. So I think in this
like when you're with someone already.
Yeah. So this one was interesting because it's like, so they do talk about that too, and we'll touch on it. We might as well touch on it now, right? Which is, if you're in a relationship with somebody, you should be flirty with them too.
Yes.
And that's always interesting because I think people can kind of fall into this trap of like,
yeah,
hurry up and get ready. We got to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look good. Let's go. And you don't flirt as much as you should. And I found it sometimes that it throws women off sometimes. Whenever I flirt with them, sometimes they're receptive, right? But I'm a traditional guy who's like, well, we might not take you out, you might not make it out the door looking as good as you do, you know what I mean? Yeah. But obviously they're like, stop, we gotta go.
I like it when I see like older people do that. They've been married for forever and they still flirt. I think it's adorable. I think it's very sweet.
Oh yeah,
to have that in your.
It was a funny one on I think it was TikTok or maybe it was Instagram. And it's this couple that have been married like 70 years. Like he could barely walk.
Was it the Valentine one?
Yeah. Did you see that one?
I did. I knew exactly what you were talking about. Will you be my Valentine? Yeah. Oh, I watched it like 3 times in a row because I thought it was so
cute.
sweet.
Yeah, it's super sweet. But you should flirt with each other. I think you need that.
It's very playful and fun.
Yeah, it super is. And obviously, I don't know. Yeah, it's if you need to flirt and you have that urge, you might as well do it with somebody that you're already with.
Yeah, don't do it with someone else. Like you should flirt with your partner first.
And then everybody else.
Yeah. Later.
For fun.
Or to get him in bed.
No. We don't want to encourage that. All right. So number 5, esteem. Increasing one's own self-esteem.
Yep.
That is horrible.
I think a lot of married people do that.
I mean,
like, I want to be desired by lots of people or more people or whatever. And it makes them feel good when maybe that's why my friend, like I said, he was married while he was so excited.
It got his self-esteem all worked up.
Like, this never happened to me before.
I don't know. I don't know. I think that's dangerous.
It can be.
I think that's super dangerous. Because like, what if they take you up on your offer?
Yeah.
And what if they like you back in that way and now you really can't do anything? Like,
if you're going to do it with caution.
Don't do it at all.
I guess so. They're going to do it anyway, Jose.
No, don't get me wrong. Like, because that's what I'm thinking. Like, if you're single, I don't know that you would need to do it for self-esteem. I kind of feel like the self-esteem one is more when you're already in a relationship.
And you're not feeling appreciated as much?
I get, you know what I'm saying? Why would you do it if you're single? You might as well either do the relationship or get them in the bed.
I
Like, you
had
know
a
what I mean?
girlfriend before. She was in a really long term relationship, and she would get mad when we would go out and guys wouldn't flirt with her. She really needed that for her ego,
The
which it
validation.
was really sad.
I
She was a
mean,
beautiful girl. I don't know why she felt that way, but she'd been with a guy for like 10 years. I'm like, why? Why do you care?
some of the most beautiful women are like that. I don't know what it is or why that's a thing. I think here's what I think happens with that. I think if you're young and you're super pretty, you're gorgeous or whatever, you get used to it. And I think over time, if you don't, it's the same thing with like athletes, right? When like let's say they peaked at high school and now they're out in the real world and they're remembered in their glory days. They're not athletes anymore. They're done. They never turned it, and that ship has sailed. I think sometimes with women, especially if they're super duper pretty, they get used to it, and then over time, when they don't get that same amount of attention, maybe they're like, "What?"
I can understand that because I mean,
I
as
can't
we
because I've never been good looking.
well, I'm just saying, as women age, we don't age the best. And I will say that
I
in my,
disagree
well,
because I
I'm just saying
love
older
me.
guys can be very
Oh my
distinguished
goodness!
and all that. But for women, we get saggy and wrinkly and whatever. But I will say that in my late 30s, that I do not get hit on very much at all anymore.
Oh, stop
Like,
it!
no, I'm serious. Like I did when I was
But you're at
younger.
home in your jammies all the time, so
Okay,
that's
but when
not
I am now, I'm
the.
just saying when I was young, like in my early 20s, you could go out and get hit on a lot. But like, yeah, they don't want to flirt with me anymore.
I don't know. I don't believe that, but okay, if you
I'm
say
telling
so.
you.
Okay, if you say so.
But yeah, I mean, like if I, was feeling bad, it's like, I notice it. It's like, okay, I don't get hit on as much anymore. Why? Because I'm older. Like that is what it is. So
I'm the opposite. I always get scared when I get attention. That's when I get
that's
very.
because you're so skeptical of people.
I'm not skeptical of people, but again, it's not a natural thing that happens with me. It just doesn't. It just doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. I think that guys, because it doesn't happen for them very often, they don't recognize it, or it could be a big deal.
Yeah. And I think the ones that are the best, those are the ones that you don't realize. But the ones that are too overt, that's it does turn me off about that. I'm a little more
You're like, what do you
traditional.
want from me? Or you
Well,
mean being too aggressive?
yeah, well, yeah, being too aggressive, like you're just way too out there for me. You know what I mean? Like just, like it's too much. I get it. You're into me, but like I like the whole cat and mouse thing.
So you would rather be the flirt than be flirted with
Yes.
because you like the chase.
Well, I like the reciprocation, right? So again, if I go up to somebody and I'd be like, hey, and we'll talk about that in just a second, but you strike up a conversation, and then things are going well. She's laughing at your jokes, and then the more that she has more drinks and you talk more, like she's tossing her hair around, she's laughing more, she's more into you. Like I like that, but like let's say I'm sitting there and then I don't know, like let's say she came up to me, that would throw me off. That would throw me off big time. I'd be like, I don't know what's happening here. And I would be completely skeptical because it just doesn't happen all the time. So now it's like, what do you want? Like at some point you're going to tell me how much.
Yeah.
Like you can't like me that much. It has to be something else going on here.
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, it's yeah. But yeah, esteem, self-esteem. That's horrible. Because you know what it is too, because I know we've been kind of picking on women, but guys do it too. Like let's say he's an older guy and he's way too old for anybody, and he's trying to hit on young girls and try to be charming, but in a creepy kind of way.
Oh, I do get that though.
Yeah, so that, and he's trying to be relevant. He's still trying to be flirty. It's like, no, dude. Although I will say that every now and again, those guys, those older guys, even though they might seem creepy to me, sometimes the young girls, they flirt back and they're like giggly and stuff. Like not to all of them. Like some women are just like, ooh, whatever. But other times they're like, what do you know about this? And they be like, girl.
Ladies, be careful with that because I'm telling you, one time there was a much older gentleman flirting with me, but I didn't realize it because he was so old. I was like, it can't possibly be that. And I was kind of like, not flirting, but like what you said, just being nice back. And then it turned into this creepy, him trying to get with me. I'm like, dude, you're old enough to be my dad. What are you talking about?
That's what I'm talking about.
Freaky.
I mean, look, the moment that it doesn't work for me anymore, I'm done. I'm done. I don't want to do it anymore. That's it. Because I don't see the point anymore at that point. Like, oh, anyways. But because you know that guy at the Valentine's, the old guy?
Uh-huh.
Oh, he got some that night.
She needed call him like Peepaw or something?
I think so. They gave each other smooches and everything. But oh yeah, it went down that night for those two. That I promise you. That I promise you. Okay, so the last one is instrumental. I don't know why they put it that way, but trying to get something from the other person.
Like food or drink?
Food or drink, yeah. So if you want the guy to buy you a drink and you flirt with them and you have no intention on pursuing it any further, but you want a drink?
I've never done that. I wouldn't take a drink from anybody, regardless if I thought they were attractive or not. Like, I just never did that.
Why? I
don't trust people.
If you didn't ask for it, well, I mean, don't get me wrong. They can't bring it to you. That's different. But if
you're going to laugh and call me a liar, but I'm telling you, if a guy came up to me and there was no way that I was attracted to him and whatever, and he said, "Can I buy you a drink?" I wouldn't accept it because it's wrong. That's mean. To accept a drink from a guy that I have no interest in talking to.
Yeah.
I'm going to take the drink and turn my back. No, that's mean. I would never do that.
Well, you don't have to turn your back. You just say thank you and then that's it.
No, I wouldn't take it. I'd feel terrible.
I mean,
because he's doing it because he wants to talk to me. There's no other reason. It's not like you look thirsty.
Yeah,
like, he wants to talk to me.
That's your opener.
But that's what I'm saying. If I know I don't want to talk to him, I'm not going to have this guy pay money to buy me a drink, knowing that I don't want to talk to you. Sorry.
So I see what your point is, right? You're saying there's no chance in hell, but after a drink. It might be better.
Let's say that I'm in a relationship or I'm with someone.
But you shouldn't be accepting drinks from anybody at that point.
But I'm just saying I don't, in period. But I'm just saying, like, if it's some dude that I know I'm not, like, I don't want to talk to him, I'm not going to have you buy me a drink. I would feel terrible.
It could be the love of your life and you're discarding the poor bastard before he even gets a shot. Wow. Drinks are the best. Back in the day when I was out in the bars and clubs and stuff like that, that was the best way to do it.
But I mean, I'm saying if you went
especially
up
if there's a group of girls.
If you went up, you buy like shots all around.
Well, y'all don't usually travel by yourself, but if you do, typically that means you want somebody to hit on you.
Well, you could have just gone to the bar by yourself, but your friends are like out on the dance floor or whatever. But like if you said you buy drinks for women, okay, so you're saying that if you go up to a woman and you tap her on the shoulder and you say, "Hello, my name is Jose. Can I buy you a drink?" She says, "Yeah, sure." You pay for the drink shows up, she takes it and says, "Bye." That you'd be like totally fine with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand. Are you saying that? I'm
saying, like, wouldn't you, if she's not interested in talking to you, wouldn't you rather her say thank you, but no thanks, and then walk away then? Why take money from you before she rejects you?
Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying, but it's just an opener for me. So I'm not tripping about the buying of the drinks. I'm not saying the guy's
tripping about it. I'm just saying I would feel bad taking something from someone that I'm not going to be talking to you. I would feel bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, for me, it wouldn't be like, "Hey, let me buy you." I've never done that before. I've never usually it's a group of girls, and I'll usually like, "Hey, ladies, what's going on?" Like, I don't see any drinks in hands. Like, what's happening here? Like, "Oh, my girl, she's gonna get married in 2 weeks." Sweet, what's up? Like, let's get around. Yeah, let's get a drink. Let's get some fireballs, whatever the hell. And so that's how you open it up, right? Especially because women are going out to have fun. That's the thing. Now, again, if they find me that repulsive, they're like, "Nah, dude, just go away." Cool, I'll go away. But
you just spent $100 on fireball shots for all of them.
It depends, right? That's what I'm saying. When I'm going, I don't mind that because I'm there to have fun too. Even if it doesn't turn into anything, I would still rather hang out with girls than not. Because guess what? if I'm getting that vibe that it's not working out, there's going to be another group of girls over there that
Yeah, but
would
how
love
many
drinks.
times can you buy a bunch of group like females all shots? You'd be hundreds deep in by the end of the night if you just went around and did that.
Here's the thing about that. I usually, when I'm dating one girl, go hundreds deep, just going out to dinner. So for me, I'm not worried about that. If that was a thing, I wouldn't be in the bars. Like if I couldn't afford it, if I'm saying like, oh, I can't, like it's too much, then I have no business
Did you hear
being in
that,
the
ladies? He
bars.
said he's going to buy all of us a drink.
I don't expect it. I want to have fun. If it turns into something great, if it doesn't, it doesn't, right? But typically, again, I have to work. We all we can do is work our strengths.
Yeah.
And my strength, I'm not tall, I'm not handsome, so I have to be charismatic, charming, and funny. And if you do that and they're having drinks, guess what? Like nah, it turns into maybe.
It just feels mean. Like I'm thinking about also too, like salesmen, like if you walk past a booth or whatever, and let's say it's for like new windows and you don't want them nor need them, no whatever. Why, when they say like, hey, can I talk to you for a minute or whatever, you let them go through this whole 10-minute presentation. And then at the end you say, no, dude, I don't need windows. And you walk away. He could have been working on someone else. That's rude. You just took up all his time. You say, thank you, but I'm not interested. And you walk away.
Well,
I'm just saying.
yes, but here's the problem. That's a bad salesman. So I'm a way better salesman than that. And what I mean by that, so I'm gonna give away some secrets here because again, I'm not that dude
Let's
anymore.
open up the vault.
I'm not that dude anymore. But yeah, let's open up the vault. So typically, when girls go out, most of the time, I would say, most of the time they want to have fun. Do people, and I know people, do people have problems? Yes, they do. Is their life perfect? No, it is not. And the fact that like maybe they're in the bar, maybe they're not, but I know people like to talk. And again, I'm not that dude that's so tall and good looking that they're just going to swoon over me. That's not going to happen. But I have to play my strengths. And for me, I can have a good conversation with you. I can ask you about you. We can be in a group setting and we're partying and downing drinks and this, that, and the other. And then once I sit down and get a one-to-one with somebody, then I start asking them about them. Tell me about you. Like, what's going on? What's your career? Blah. Once you start doing that and they start giving you information, guess what? They become way more interested. Way more interested. So then you're like, oh my gosh, that's cool. This, that, and that. You got a good banter going on, blah, blah, blah. And before long, again, nah, it's not my type. Turns into maybe because somebody's showing interest. You're having fun. You're showing, and it has to be genuine. You can't be like, again, a bad salesman, like you were saying. Here's my pitch. I'm a great guy. I drive this. I drive a Benz. I do make this money. This, that. She is gonna be like, bye. Because she doesn't care, right? Most people want to talk about themselves. Most people they want you to show interest. And I'm not. So that salesman giving you his favorite pitch is making a mistake. Any salesman worth his salt knows that you ask you questions. Hey, you got a house? Yeah, I got a house. Well, it's like, have you ever checked the windows on your house?
Oh,
like,
they do that too.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. But that's going to get you way more interested than,
I
hey,
still
let me
tell
show
them
you.
like, hey, let me stop you right here. I don't need windows. And I walk away.
And don't get me wrong. Maybe that's the case too. But you being the exception, again, like you said, how many women can I go out there and buy drinks? Not very many, because I know what I need to do as a follow up. So there's an opener and there's a closer, and you have to master both. And I initially figured out how to do the opener, but didn't know how to close. And then once I learned how to close, I was done at that point. But they did talk about that, right? So some conversation starters are better than others. They did talk about pickup lines, and like pickup lines don't really work all that great. I guess I don't know. I tried one on you the other day, and it just fell really,
Yeah.
really flat.
I don't like pickup lines.
But like things like I think one of them, the example they have here, you must be a librarian because I saw you checking me out. Which doesn't make any sense because librarians don't check out books. But anyways, but what they do talk about is open-ended questions. And, like, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? Right.
Do they talk about the differences between men and women and how they flirt in this? Because I was just thinking like, that's a guy thing, right? A pickup line. Let me buy you a drink. Did they say anything about?
Let's see here.
Just thinking like girls, again, like we talked about, I don't think most women would go up to a guy to start flirting. They may
No.
look at you from across the room to let you know, like, hey, this is your opening.
Yeah, so what I have noticed about that, right? Because they did talk about, like, I think this is mostly for men, right? Because then there's a direct approach where you just go up to them and you're like, "Hey, you're cute. Can I buy you a drink?" That happens too. Now, the what I know about that is the only way that that would work. The only way that that would work is if the guy is extremely good looking. Otherwise, it will not work. Guaranteed.
I think it would work on me better than the pickup line.
No, well, the pickup lines for sure.
Oh, okay.
But all of those, right? So whether it's a direct approach or a pickup line, those would not work unless the guy is super good. And even then, if the guy is super good looking to you and he tries this cheesy pickup line, you would still probably laugh and giggle a little bit. You wouldn't be like cold-hearted. Again, somebody that you thought was attractive, you wouldn't be like, no, dude, sorry.
I wouldn't be that cold-hearted anyway if I wasn't.
Yeah, you did. You're like, hey, I like your drink, but no, I'm going to turn around.
I'm
Thank
just
you,
saying
but no.
I don't want to
Yes,
waste
you
their
would.
money. I'm
No,
trying
it's
to be
fine,
nice.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, so if you're not that, and most guys are not that, then you have to switch it up. You have to use different approaches because that in and of itself is not going to get you there. So, but yeah, so that's the guys for a woman. Yeah, they like batting their eyes, playing with their hair. I seem to find that more in dates than anything. That's how I know whether or not the gal is into me.
So when you've had women come up to you, what do they usually do?
Oh, men don't. I mean, women don't come up to me. So
Oh,
yeah, they just don't. They don't do that.
oh, this never happened. Like you're out somewhere and they'd be like, "Oh, I like your jacket."
No, I mean I've
your
gotten
name?
compliments, but not like that. Like that. And that just my brother gets that a lot. They just go up to him and just start talking to him.
What does your brother say? What's their opening? Like, what they do?
I don't know. You know what? I should have called him up and asked him. I mean, he's
Missed
settled down now.
opportunity.
Yeah, but he was. And I've met a couple. I've known a couple of guys that also said the same thing. Like they don't initiate the conversation. If the woman doesn't come and talk to them first, they don't.
That's
They won't
weird.
start
I
it.
don't know if I've ever initiated a conversation like in that scenario. I don't think I've ever done that.
Yeah.
But again, I don't think most women go up to guys like that.
It's hard to start a conversation with somebody, a complete stranger.
Yeah. And you can't say to a guy, "Can I buy you a drink?" if you're a woman. That seems silly.
No, I mean, you can.
You
I don't
could,
know.
but I think it would
It's
be
2022.
weird.
You can do whatever you want to, young lady.
I think the guy, like a traditional guy, would be like, wouldn't let a woman pay for his drink anyway, under any circumstance.
Depends on the guy, to be honest with
I
you.
know. A
Because
traditional guy is what I mean.
yeah.
Not like the.
we're a dying breed.
Yeah.
But yeah, they kind of go into some of the different topics that we're talking about that men overestimate how interested women are. I think that happens a lot.
Yeah.
That
Because they
happens a
can't
lot.
just be, I feel like people that have just a nice personality or like people who are naturally flirty, they just don't know it or whatever. They can't help it. Like I would say I'm probably naturally nice, right? In those types of scenarios.
I
Like,
would say you're not, but okay.
what do you
Just kidding.
mean? But like
I'm kidding.
I've come across me being nice to men and they did that same thing, interpreted that, but it wasn't anything. Like I wasn't trying to flirt.
Sure.
It was just
Sure you weren't.
well, like that old guy I told you, I didn't think it was
No, you're
that. So
talking
like
about, yes.
for him, I was probably being flirty with him, even though he was old enough to be my father. I was not. I was just being nice and kind of just whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's with that, and my stance on that is that now you need to be very direct in the fact that this is not whatever. And you can be that direct. So I've seen it. Let's just put it that way. So yeah, you just need to let them know, and then after that, there's no more ambiguousness.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think
Ambiguity,
that if you're just kind of outgoing, naturally nice, whatever, most of those people are kind of naturally flirty. Again, we're not trying to be. It just comes off that way.
You know what I think about every time when I read that, the first thing that popped in my head was those restaurants where it's like women servers that are in skimpy outfits,
Oh,
Twin Peaks and Hooters and stuff like that. Those guys genuinely think that those girls like them.
Oh,
They do, and they go there.
sad.
And don't get me wrong, like it's almost part of the fantasy, right? So they go there, and the girls they'll flirt with them. Hey, Larry, how you doing? And all this whatever is like, hey, Sue, whatever, and like they feel like they
Sue?
whatever. I don't know what their names are. I don't know what are girls' names nowadays. Sue is not a word anymore.
I don't know anyone named Sue.
You don't know anybody named Sue? Like the boy named Sue?
What?
That's a song. Johnny Cash. The boy named You never heard the boy named Sue?
I don't know. Sing it for me.
Oh my gosh. I mean, I could, but I'm not going to. But essentially, it's a song about a boy that was named Sue. So he's kind of ticked off because he grew up.
And he was named Sue.
Well, he was named Sue and his dad left. So he left and it was just him and his mom, and he grew up ridiculed because his name was Sue. And so he gets older and he gets tougher because he's constantly getting into fights and beating people up because either they're laughing at him and this, that, and the other. So he becomes a roughneck himself. One day he's traveling and he goes to this casino or whatever. It's like one of those rundown like bar/casinos, and dealing cards was his dad. So he was like, I finally found him, and he's like, he's really ticked off at him. And he's like, I can't wait to get my hands on him because he named me Sue, made my whole life miserable. And then he gave me that silly name, and then he left, right? So now I'm going to kick his butt. And anyways, he goes up to him and he tells him, my name is Sue, and now I'm going to kill you. So the dad immediately figures out, oh, this is his son. They get up and they get into a tussle. They fight. The dad ends up pulling his gun out before the son does. And he says, like, hey, I know that I'm the guy that named you Sue, and you should be upset. And I get that you're mad, but I gave you that name for a reason because I knew it'd make you tough and I couldn't be around. So basically, I knew you were going to have a hard life, but you needed that. Anyways, they made up at the very end. It's a boy named Sue. Anyway, I digress. I went through that whole story, but it has nothing to do with flirting.
It was a long story.
It's a song. It's a song, but it's a great song. But it's more about fathers and sons. But yeah, so when they go to back to the Hooters and back to like Twin Peaks, I think the guys, they like that. They don't usually get attention. So you see the guys that are there. They're not bad guys, but, they're probably got the dad bods or grandpa bods. They wear, they're not, whatever. So, yeah, a cute girl being nice to them.
So that's the ego point.
It's the ego, but it's also, it makes them feel, even though they know it's fake, and obviously they're looking for tips, right?
Well, I disagree. I think that a lot of guys don't know that it's fake. I think that they really believe that those women find them attractive.
You remember that story? I think it was on one of the other podcasts. I think it was Swindled, where the guy was making these fake letters to these guys, and they were sending them out, and he was collecting money from them. Remember so it started out as a scam, and it was one guy, and he pretended to be this East European girl that was in trouble, and they were corresponding via mail, and he would pick these guys that lived at home, weren't very popular, and they started pen paling, and then she would start asking them for money, and then it all got brought to light, and it turns out it was just this dirty old guy. But do you remember what happened after that?
No.
So the guys that were swindled didn't want it to stop. They wanted it to keep on going. Like they were sad. They were like, I want this. I knew that it was too good to be true. But he would send them letters and stuff. So in their mind, it got built up in such a way that they thought it was real.
And I'm sure that I'm just saying that, like, I think a lot of, not like old dudes, I'm just saying like normal age, whatever, that go to those places. I've seen a lot of them say like, oh yeah, this girl is flirting with me. I go there every Wednesday. Like, it's just, I mean.
And it's either Sue or Kelly. How about Kelly? Is there
Kelly's
still a girl? Okay, Kelly. So it's either Sue or Kelly that's going to be flirting with them. But
Sue doesn't work there anymore.
But I don't know. I don't know. I think it's a mutual understanding, and so long as it's playful and whatever, I don't know. I feel like it's okay. Like it's okay,
but like, what if you were with someone in a relationship and they constantly flirted with other people in front of you?
So I had an uncle, or I have an uncle. I don't know why I say I had. I have an uncle, and when he was younger, he was very conservative. I think he was like a cop or something like that. And then he got older, and when he got older, he became more outgoing. His wife was always conservative, but he became super outgoing. And so he would dance at parties and stuff that he didn't do when he was younger. Like
Yeah.
there was his point. Anyways, I think she started having an issue with him. But he wasn't in a creepy way. It's not like he was flirting with him, but he was just, and he would love to cite poetry. Like he would have these poetry books, and it was in Spanish. And if you ever heard poetry in Spanish, it's much more beautiful than it could ever be in English.
Well, he just changed his personality is what it sounds like. But I'm talking
He
about if
did,
you go
yeah.
out.
But she felt a certain kind of way because I
Yeah.
think she felt like he was flirting. He wasn't, because
Yeah.
I saw him, and it was mostly family he was around. But she felt a certain kind of way about it. I don't know why, because they'd been married for 50, 60
But
years
I
at that
see
point.
that a lot. Like it's usually at restaurants because restaurants are going to typically try to hire very cute waitresses and things like that.
What? And
So,
handsome waiters too. And let's not forget those.
I guess I don't really see any of those, but
Yes, but you have weird taste too, same as I do. So,
but you know, like if you're the guy, let's say it's a really cute waitress and your boyfriend is clearly flirting, like not that he's trying to get with her, but it's just overt. You know what I mean? It's just really disrespectful. So like I think flirting can be cute and innocent either with your partner or if you're single or even if you again, if you are totally not attracted to this person, you're just doing it for fun. For fun.
that old chestnut.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's number 2 on there.
Yeah, it is.
So
I mean,
a
well,
lot
it's
of
in bullet
people
points,
do
so
it.
it's not necessarily.
Well, I think it's ranked because the number 1, yours seemed pretty accurate for the number 1 reason.
Well, yeah, that's that. And now when I read it, I was like, oh, isn't that the only reason? But no, apparently there's more.
Yeah.
Now the other thing too, this was weird, is based on that because they did a study, and they also talked about the most attractive characteristics depend on the gender. And which I kind of knew, but it was interesting because they didn't break down all of them, but they did break down some of them. So, for instance, happiness was the most attractive female expression, but one of the least attractive for men. That was weird because essentially what they're saying is they don't want the woman to be happy. But for a guy, if he's happy, if he's genuinely happy, women tend to gravitate towards that, which really makes a lot of sense. Because when you're flirting, you kind of have to be happy. You can't be so sad and mopey.
I like the stoic guy. I disagree with that one.
What do you mean?
Like, I would be more attracted to a guy from afar who seemed really serious. I don't know why that is.
Why?
I just said I don't know why that is.
Have you
I'm
ever
just
explored
saying.
that? What's going on there?
I just find it attractive. I don't know.
You're weird. But yeah, so then the other one was pride was the most attractive male expression, but one of the least attractive for women. So women didn't like the pride, but the men liked the pride in the women, which is weird. Why would you want to? I mean,
Do you think that has to do with like guys wanting their woman to? Okay, let me try to think this through. Guys wanting to have their woman keep up herself. And if you're very prideful, you're probably more likely to do that. Do you think that that has anything to do with it?
oh,
You're not going to help me explore that?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe with pride, it might be the way the woman carries herself.
Maybe. Because if you're saying that women don't like pride in men, it's probably because it's coming off as arrogant. It's not really, and that's not an attractive quality. But are you saying that in that guys would like an arrogant woman?
Sort of. So it's kind of the same thing. Like if you go up to a woman and she's kind of hunched over, not really.
Well, she's got back problems.
Oh, don't get me wrong. Yeah, that might be the case too. But you know how prideful person, their stance, their demeanor, like a woman, if she's just like, you know what I mean? She doesn't have to be arrogant about it, but just kind of showing.
So you're talking about confidence now?
Kind of. I mean, it kind of goes hand in hand, pride and confidence, right?
You could be prideful in a lot of things, though, but confidence is more about your self-worth, how you feel about yourself.
Yeah, I guess. Confidence is different. Confidence is like, like I know what I can do and what I can't do. I'm not worried about it. I don't know. I don't know. Now I'm confusing myself, but I there was something about pride that men like pride in women. Maybe in the way that's why I say for me, I think it's the way she carries herself, prideful.
Yeah.
And then interestingly, an expression of shame was relatively attractive on both men and women.
Like sharing an embarrassing story, or
I guess I don't know because it says expression of shame. Maybe that's being humble.
and maybe it makes
Perhaps?
you connect with them if you kind of share something like that.
Maybe.
Maybe it's a connection thing.
Maybe I don't know because shame. That's just a weird.
Well, I know this is flirting, but
But it's
like I'm
effective.
thinking about when we talked way back in the day about how you and I, like our first real conversation, you had a crush on somebody
Mm-hmm.
and you came to me. Our relationship changed after that night because you shared something with me that was very personal.
Yeah.
So isn't that not that you were ashamed of
No,
it,
but I
but
was.
like
Yeah, I wasn't ashamed of it.
no,
I
no,
think
no, no. I
it's-
just mean like sharing some intimate thing
Oh,
can kind of grow a relationship out of that.
kind of, sort of. I don't know. It's kind of one of those things that whenever you give some, you have to be very careful about what you share and when you share it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like, let's just say for this, it depends on like what you did that you're ashamed of. Exactly. You know, like again,
You
if
clog
it's
the toilet, don't share that.
yeah, like that would be okay. Like, hey, one time, I ended up putting regular toilet paper or not toilet paper, but the paper towels in the toilet because I didn't know and it clogged it up and I'm so ashamed, but I just kind of walked out. Like that's kind of like, oh, okay, it's kind of a cute restroom.
It's cute.
Well, it's like it's shameful, but it's not like
It's not
hey,
like,
I
oh my
cheated
God.
on my boyfriend.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah, that's not cute. I guess you should be ashamed of yourself, but like that's way more shameful. You know what I mean?
Okay, I
Like
gotcha.
that sort of
Like
thing.
a very innocent thing.
Yeah, like I did this stupid thing, or one time I was, walking and I tripped and like I spilled my drink all over this guy. I felt so bad. Blah blah blah. Whatever.
Okay.
So something like that. But again, if you give off too much information, that's mucho, too much. Mm-mm. So there was, and we'll touch on this, but there's all different ways that you can flirt. For me, I do this, but I only do this on dates. I don't think. Oh no, hold on. I'm trying to think if I've ever done this outside of date. I have actually. So for me, when I flirt, there is going to be a certain amount of touch. Now, I'm not saying I'm rubbing her shoulders like a creepy old guy, but I'm just saying there will be a little bit of physical connection of some sort. That's how I flirt.
Yeah.
That's one of my go-tos because I'll learn really easy if they cringe or if they pull back or any of that, I know no more. They are not into you. They do not want anything. Or even if I get like a stiff, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I can't believe he just touched me kind of thing. Then I know, okay, stay away. Don't pursue this anymore.
Yeah.
They're
And it
not
could
in,
be-
they can be friendly, but they're not interested in anything more
It could
than
be
that.
something like really innocent. Like I remember one time on a date, it was a first date. I had went to the bathroom and I came back and I did the thing where I tapped his shoulder on the wrong side.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? That was like very flirty.
Yeah.
It's still physical touch, but
Yeah, yeah.
it wasn't like overt, like I'm holding your hand or
Right.
whatever. But
Yeah.
yeah.
But you can see that. So there's many a times when I like to people watch. And so when I went on to the speed dating thing, and I would see how they were interacting with one another. And I could tell more. I could care less what their conversation was, but I can see the way they were interacting and their posture, whether they touched each other and all that. I could tell more from that
Yeah.
than whatever it is that they were talking about, of
Right.
whether or not they were into it. Or I could tell when one person was way more into the other because of the way they were sitting and
Yeah.
the direction and all that. So yeah, but for me, it's physical touch. If I'm physically touching you, usually not always, but I'm usually interested in that way.
Yeah. It's kind of the thing what girls do when they try to feel your guns. Like, oh, you work out? Like, that's a perfect way to
My
get your
guns.
hands on your guns.
My cannons, girl. What are you talking about?
Pow, pow.
Yeah, that's usually how I know if a girl is into me. Although nowadays I look for a lot more body language. the way they're sitting, whether they play with their hair, bat their eyes, tilt their necks. Like I can usually pick up.
They smile and look down
Yeah.
because they're blushing. Ooh.
But yeah, you can pick that stuff up. But again, typically I can pick it up whenever I'm on a date because
Yeah.
I'm on a date. So I want to see if she's jiving with me or not. And yeah, for the most part, I can pretty much pick it out. I mean, like I'm pretty good about like figuring things.
My thing, and I know, like, it seems obvious, but a lot of people don't do this. I will stare into your eyes the whole time we're having the conversation.
Are you serious?
What do you mean?
Like, what do you mean you stare into my eyes like an interrogator or something?
No, like when you're talking, if I'm locked in with your eyes,
Yes.
that means that I like you. If I didn't care about what you were saying, I wouldn't be locking eyes with you. I'd be looking around.
Well, yeah, eye contact I think is a biggie. I think they do talk about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like for girls, like ours is, you talk about the flipping of the hair and all that kind of stuff. But if you are very engaged with them eye contact wise, that lets the guy know, or they should know. I'm just saying this is a flirting technique that I do on a
But
date.
just not like a creepy staring into your face kind of thing, right? Because that could be a bit off-putting, couldn't it?
No one ever said I was creepy. Okay.
Not to your face. No, I'm just kidding.
It's not creepy. It's me being engaged.
No, I get it. I think there's a certain amount of eye contact. I mean, but I can't like constantly because then it gets weird.
I don't
And that's
think
what I'm
it's
saying. I think it depends, right? Because I've done that. That's what I'm saying. For some of the girls that it ended up turning into something, they were, whenever I would stare at them, they would like, they wouldn't get creeped out, but they would start blushing or start giggling.
Yeah,
or whatever.
usually the guys will blush when I do this. I'm just saying it's like, I'm telling you without saying anything, I'm really engaged and I like you. If I was looking at my phone, my watch, looking around, picking up the menu,
look,
like
let's
I'm
not
just
even
saying.
Get started on that because yes, there are women out there that if I go on a date, I turn my phone off. I have my watch on.
I would never be on my phone.
And I listen to my watch. I mean, not listen, but I have my watch close to me, but I try not to look at it unless there's something important that comes through.
I wouldn't do that even long-term relationships. There's no phones when we're out to dinner, like none of that. Unless you say like, hey, when's that movie starting? I may look up the time, but like I'm very passionate about that. I'm not going to be on my phone.
It was funny. One time I was out on a date and it was we were sitting at a table and a great view. And I remember sitting there with the girl and we were talking and this, that. And right next to us was this other couple. And they sat there to get that view. And when I turned around and looked at them, both of them were on their phones. And it was like, you purposely waited and got this and made it a point to get this because it was the best table with the best view. And you're on your freaking phones.
Or they're spending more time taking photos rather than just living in a moment. That's also really annoying.
I don't understand. It's like, why would you do that? I don't understand. Because you can get on your phone anytime. Why would you, like now you're here.
I agree with you. I'm telling you, I wouldn't. And if I got with someone that did that, I would tell them like, look, I'm not okay with this behavior. Can you please not do this anymore out of respect? Like, oh.
So the next one, right? And they talk about flirting can enhance your attraction. I think that again, it can't be a weird, creepy, right? So we're just going to agree right now that when we talk about flirting, it's not creepy flirting.
Okay.
But I do think that flirting does enhance your attraction because I think you become more accessible at that point. Because I've been in situations where I'm just a little too uptight and it turns people off.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not that I wanted to get with them, but I can see how if you were just a little more flirty, they would be like, oh, like you were kind of cute before. Now you're way more because now you're flirty. You're fun.
Yeah, because it's like you see someone you're attracted to and then you go talk to them and they're also really amazing to talk to.
Yeah.
That's everything.
That's it. You're in like Flynn at that point, right?
Yeah.
So then, but then, and this one I read was very interesting, super interesting, because it says the header of it is a little sunshine helps. And it turns out that you become, if you flirt in broad daylight, it's much better. So Let's see here.
Because we're not sleepy?
No, well,
Or is it just because the sun, the vitamin D gives
it
you...
could be the vitamin D. It's the light. Maybe because I think, me personally, I think it's part of that, right? Because vitamin D, does improve your mood. But I also feel like because it's happening when you least expect it. Again, you think of flirting, you think of a bar. It's usually dark.
Smoky,
You know what I mean?
loud.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not lit up brightly. Let's just put it that way, right?
Which helps some people, I guess.
Don't get me wrong, like, it sets the mood for sure. Like, you expect that sort of stuff. But when you do it in broad daylight and you flirt with somebody, there's something like, like, what's happening here? You know what I mean? I think it catches people off guard. I think they like it. But apparently it's one of the best times to do it.
So what do all the vampires do?
I don't know. They don't flirt. They just bite people. But there was also that, they talk about like the chemical things that go on in your brain, and like endorphins and oxytocin and dopamines and all that. All of that also plays into it. And then they had, they talk about eye contact. So it says eye contact
you, it's
really
bad.
helps. No, according to this article, it's good. But yeah, it says when both pairs were doing the eye gazing task at the same time, meaning they were looking at each other, they were far more likely to report feeling of affection. And then they did it without it. So.
There's been times whether I was like, maybe not first date, but like in a relationship, it's that flirty thing we talked about, right? But like being in that scenario of us both gazing into each other's eyes and not saying anything, it's crazy how intimate that feeling is. Because to your point, some people will say it was creepy, but you're both doing it. You're both like putting it out there. Yeah. It's very emotional, like to do that.
With the eye contact?
Yeah. I'll do that. Like I said, even if I'm in a long-term relationship, there'll be times where it'll just happen and it feels very intimate and very sweet.
Yeah, I think eye contact should always happen. I think it's part of just having a
not
conversation.
Creepy.
No, it's not. But I think if you stare too much at people, then like
I don't mean it in a creepy way. I'm just saying if you're telling me a story and I'm not taking my eyes off of your eyes.
Oh yeah. Well, that's usually how I tell. Again, my philosophy is you let them do a lot of the talking. It just works better because most of the time. They're really not interested in anything I have to say. They mostly want to talk about their own life. I think most people are like that. Most people are like, they like to talk about themselves. They love talking about themselves. And it works out perfect for me because I genuinely like to hear about other people's stuff. My life is pretty vanilla. There's not a lot of stuff that goes on in my life.
I like to talk to people about myself, but only if I know them intimately, like if I'm close with them. I don't like to talk about myself to just anyone or people that don't know me. I'm very private with a lot of things. So like, but yeah, if I'm like you, I mean, I tell you lots of stuff. You know
I've known you for a long time too.
I'm just saying that like, we're obviously very close. I feel comfortable. So I'll tell you like, hey, this is what's going on. And
well, again, like let's say again, back in the day when I was, out there doing my thing.
On the prowl.
Gallivanting. I heard that on one of the shows. I just love the gallivanting thing. But yeah, if I wanted to, get intimate with somebody and take them to bed, right? If that was my purpose, one of the things that I realized was I had to make the girl comfortable. That's first and foremost. If that's what your intent is to get them in, you have to make.
You can't have a stinky apartment with the sheet on, but it's not even on. There's no fitted sheet, and like you gotta have clean, look sharp, all these things.
Yeah, I mean, and even if they were to come over to my place, again, I try to make it as comforting or as comfortable as possible. They have to feel safe. They have to feel secure.
Yeah, and you wouldn't have like a turd floating in the toilet.
No, it would be clean. Yeah, and you can't have like
clean,
creepy
smell
stuff.
good.
And yeah, you can't have like knives and guns all around the place. Like that'd be whatever. But yeah, so for me, and so what they did was and I think this was mostly written for men, but there are 5 different styles of flirting. So I kind of go through them real quickly. And I did, by the way, there was a test at the end of this, and I did take it. But I'll go through them really quickly. We'll dissect them all. But there's physical flirts, tend to be subtle touch with the person that they're interested in. So physical. Traditional flirting, That's usually when the man makes the first move. That's a traditional, what they consider. Sincere flirting, get other people to open up about them. That's where my flirting, that's when I did the best. And then there's playful flirting, see the interaction as a game, and maybe using the flirtation as a means to another end. So those are the different flirting. For me, the sincere one always worked, but you have to be sincere.
Yeah.
It doesn't work if you're not into that person, right? Because if you, to your point, if you feel or if you come off as disinterested or you're not paying attention or you're not asking the right follow-up questions, they'll be like, no, I'm
And like I
done.
said in the past, I think most people can sense if you're genuine or not. And if you're genuine, you're your genuine self. It's very attractive, and people will pick up on that for sure.
But you know me, I love hearing about people. I love talking to people. I love hearing their stories. And sometimes even strangers that I would never see again. And it's not that I'm flirting with them, but just talking to them, they start giving you some of the most interesting stories.
Oh yeah.
And I'm just like, I don't even know this person
Yeah.
for whatever
I've
reason.
met people at restaurants or whatever. It's like you're like almost friends for the night, and it's amazing,
It's
guy or
absolutely-
girl,
it's
like just to
absolutely-
hear.
Yeah. Which is always strange, right? Because you see that, and a lot of that doesn't happen in this day and age. I think one of the things that's wrong with dating is maybe it's because I'm older, but they ask silly questions. And I'd done it too. What's your favorite color? What's your favorite car? What's your favorite movie? None of this is really going to get to where you really want to be with this person. Like those questions
I think
don't.
that's how childhood tendencies of like,
Yeah.
it's cute and sweet. It's not serious.
It is. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I think people crave a little more than that. Especially if you hear that enough times after a while, you're like, I don't want to.
You're like, oh my God, my favorite color is red.
Right. It's like, I don't want to hear this anymore. So I think when you become an adult, because there's plenty of that to go around. But if you're an adult and you really are genuinely interested in people and you ask right questions and like follow-up questions
Yeah,
and
like tell me about your family and like being really interested.
and coming at it from a different angle, because I'm sure they've told that story to other people too. But I always like finding that interesting, weird angle to look at it from. But anyways, so real quick, so I did the test.
Yes.
And the test is
Failed. Big fat F.
I did not, but because it wasn't that kind of test, by the way. It was just kind of telling you where you fall in percentage wise.
Okay.
So for me, the sincere one, I was at 80 to 90% is where I was on that. The other one was also physical touch, which I already knew that. And then the traditional one where I like to make the first move. And yeah, that's me. That's me, because a woman flirting with me or coming up to flirt with me would really throw me off to the point, like you said, I didn't even know. I don't know. I think it's part of it. I don't know. It's just weird. But I like to do the chasing. I really, really do like to do the chasing.
I would say most guys do.
I don't like to be chased. There's something off-putting for me when I'm getting chased.
I've heard that a lot from guys.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
I think it's maybe in our like prehistoric mind, you know what I mean? Like the hunting in the gathering for the women. I don't know. Like, you know what I mean? Maybe it's like ingrained. In our
I mean, I got
reptilian
a social norm, and I'm trying to think of, I can't, I mean, I've gone out with aggressive women before, but again, we were already on a date and I kind of liked them, but there's something about if they're too aggressive, it's a little off-putting too.
I would say most guys agree with that.
Yeah. I don't know why. And sometimes I was attracted to them, but over the years, I've kind of figured out that that's not really.
I think most guys, honestly, it feels like guys, it's the softness that a woman could bring to the relationship that's very endearing. So if you're not soft and you come off like that, it takes that whole aspect of the womanly part out of it. And I think that's why it's a turn off.
Yeah. I think it's also, and this is kind of bad, so I'm going to try to word this very carefully.
Okay.
I kind of feel like, even though I know, like I was telling you, I date women my age, which they're 40s, they've had kids and stuff, and I know I'm not the first, but I do feel like, okay, I'm chasing you and you're receptive. I'm hoping that you don't do that to every guy. Or at least that's kind of what I have in my brain. Like I'm flirting with you, and then you're giving me the time of day because there is that possibility she could say no, go jump off a lake. Like I'm not interested in you. You know what I'm saying? So if that were the case, and they were like very they just weren't interested, right? But when they are interested, it's like, okay, good. You know, like I did something. They might always been attracted to you, but at least I feel like I did something. Whereas if a woman hits on me, I'm like, how many other guys have you hit on? Like if you're doing that to me, chances are you've probably done that. And again,
Makes
I'm not,
sense. Yeah.
I'm not.
We're assuming just based on
Right. And I'm not saying that. That's what I'm saying. Even the one that I approached first doesn't. She might have been with more guys than the guy than the woman that approached me. But there's that feeling that you get like, I know I'm not special because if you have the stones to come up to me, I'm not the first guy that you've ever gone up to. I'm sure you've gone up to many guys, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it does make me feel like, what am I like
I understand.
120th guy that that's horrible. But you know what I mean? Like it doesn't make me feel special. Does that make sense? It's almost like if you're going for a goal, and it's almost like getting a prize for showing up. I don't understand that, nor do I agree with it. We're not going to get into that, but like you shouldn't get a prize just for showing up. There should be effort put into it, and you should work for it. And there's something more about if they were just giving out doctor's degrees to everybody. It's like, hey, here you go, Robbie, you're a doctor now. Like that wouldn't mean anything. Like it'd be like, I didn't have to do anything. Nope. But from here on in, you're Dr. Robbie.
Yeah, it's like,
for doing nothing. You didn't have to do it. It dilutes it a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like,
that's why we talked about this a long time ago about telling people your number. Like, don't say your number, because if a girl has a high number, guys don't like that.
They typically do not. And so, but we can talk about the body count later if you want. But so flirting, that's flirting. Turns out there's a lot more to it. There's a lot more psychology to it. So
it's all science.
There actually is a science, but we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
But anyways, fun topic, and appreciate it.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
All right, until next time.
Bye.
Bye.